Assist evac where necessary. Got it. With sprints from the Southside Guardians and Sifu helping our own, dispatch had fielded all 4 of the city's fastest speedsters. Dropping my shaken but unhurt jogger across the river, I got back in the air, high enough that I could see the leading edge of the whipping green tide. Yeah, like I was going to stop any of that with my little maul. Ajax's maul. What would he have said? Use a bigger hammer? There was no hammer big enough.
Astra need a little help here?
Crash's run-together call for help reached me through dispatch, and Shelley obligingly threw a red bracketing box up on my new contact lens display. I dropped again, breaking through swirling tree limbs to find the narrow forest path beneath. Crash struggled to pull another twisted root off of a trapped morning hiker's legs. Around us, the path shrank, and suddenly I was in the middle of a childhood flashback of babes in Toyland and the forest of no return. Go! I ripped the exposed root out of the ground with more force than I needed to. I'd lived in fear of the old, gnarly trees on our street for months after seeing that show. Crash pulled the hiker up into an assisting carry and disappeared in a red blur, and I launched up through the thickening canopy of branches. Back up in the open air, I spun around slowly, trying to put a frame on what I was seeing. The trees weren't walking, they were growing, seeding, springing up. The spreading edge of the growth made it look like they were on the march. But the growth wasn't in a neat circle. It had started at Potawatomi Lake and was moving south, expanding to fill the entire greenbelt between the Des Plaines River and the Tri-State Tollway as it went. Why? The sharp crack of snapping roadway cut off my thought. The south edge had reached Dundee Road, the 4-lane road that ran through the wide greenbelt to connect Wheeling to Northbrook. Arching roots buckled the pavement while new saplings burst up and out, trapping morning commuters. Evacuating Dundee Road. Get here now. Choking down rising panic, I dove again to snatch up a minivan full of screaming carpoolers and drop them gently on the other side of the river. Flew back for more. How many could we get out before growing green started grinding people under? Watchmen and Veriforce on station, Lazy returned as Watchmen dropped out of the sky above me, Veriforce in tow. Continue vehicle evac. Watchmen joined me in picking up and airlifting cars while Veriforce configured his golden aura of variable property force fields into whirling blades, decapitating climbing saplings before they could thicken and crush trapped cars.
It's worst on the edges,
Watchmen shouted. Coming down, he'd had a wider perspective, and he was right. As the edge swept south of Dundee, the frantic, twisting forest growth left behind slowed. He smashed a tree aside as it tried to anchor itself across a sporty convertible, extracted the terrified driver. I lifted a delivery truck up and out of the danger zone and returned for more, listening for more intervention calls.
The next road south of Dundee is a ways down. Willow Road,
Shelley informed us.
But then there's the Northbrook Hilton on the wrong side of the river. Businesses south of that. The Northside Guardians are assisting evac there. We've got other teams moving up. And here we come to save the day.
The Sentinels floater came diving out of the morning sun, Shelley Galatea hitching a ride outside the canopy. Veriforce swept a landing zone clear, and Lazy, the Harlequin, Riptide, and Seven piled out. Rush appeared in a red blur.
Dam number 1 is still out from the spring flooding, he reported to Lazy. So Dam Woods Road is clear, and there aren't many civilians in the woods south of Dundee. We're ahead of it, boss.
Galatea settled next to me. Her newest silver and blue chrome body was almost completely covered in weapons and magazines, but she'd had a strong hand in designing it. Underneath, it looked even more like her old Robotica sketches than the first model. She leaned in as close as her shoulder-mounted missile racks would allow.
Wow! So babes in Toyland, isn't it?
I snorted before I could stop myself, turning into a sneeze that wouldn't have fooled any of my old school teachers.